Okay. Hey, everyone. We are live. Friday night, August 23rd. Miami Dolphins just wrapped up their 2024 preseason schedule with a 24-14 loss against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Raymond James Stadium. As I again look at what's going on here. Okay, let's try this again. Let's try this again. There we go. Okay, why does this always do this? Hey, everyone, I'm back. I don't know if I went anywhere or what. Again, welcome to the live post-game recap of the Dolphins' 24-14 loss against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Raymond James Stadium. And maybe the best thing about this game was that the preseason is over. In case you haven't figured it out by now, not a fan of the preseason. Again, it helps in the sense of collecting data in certain areas, but we also have to understand that coaches don't divulge a whole lot of their game plan. The defenses are very vanilla, which is why you often see guys really shine in the preseason, then the regular season arrives and it's plop, and it's just not there. Having said all that, so with the takeaways from this game against the Buccaneers, I think we have to start with the quarterback position. As pretty much expected, Tua Tagovailoa did not play against Tampa Bay. There was no reason to put him out there, particularly considering all the injuries at wide receiver, and we'll get into that a little bit more a little bit later. So it was Mike White and Skylar Thompson getting their final chance to convince Mike McDaniel that they should be the guy to be the number 2 quarterback behind Tua heading into the regular season, or at the very least, earn a spot on the 53 if they weren't going to be the number 2 quarterback. And in this game, Mike White got the start. Interesting that Skylar Thompson came into the game in the first half after White had 4 drives. White was okay. The numbers, again, were not very good. He was not helped by some shoddy blocking up front. He had 1 drive that ended on a 3rd down where Buccaneers rookie Chris Braswell from Alabama just sprinted past the rookie Bayron Matos, the rookie from the Dominican Republic. Not even close. White didn't have a chance. Sack, end of drive, Dolphins punt. Mike White's first drive, it was the 3rd and 1. And it calls for a handoff to Jeff Wilson Jr. up the middle. Vita Vea, the Buccaneers' mammoth defensive tackle, who played because Tampa Bay used pretty much all of their starters, unlike the Dolphins, who basically had Robert Jones, Lester Cotton, if we want to call him a starter because he is these days, or about the only 2 starters who played for the Dolphins. Tampa Bay used pretty much all of their starters. So anyway, Vita Vea pushed back Jack Driscoll, who started at center, into the backfield. It made Wilson kind of have to change direction immediately, kind of disrupted the timing of the play. Wilson thrown for a loss. They had to punt. There was another drive that was ended. There were 2 4th down failures. One of them is a short pass to Jeff Wilson Jr. that he failed to hang on to against tight coverage, where he wouldn't have gotten the first down anyway. And then the other one came on the play where Patrick Paul was pushed back into the backfield. Mike White's arm was hit as he was throwing a ball. So again, this is kind of continued a pattern. Mike White didn't look good. He didn't necessarily look decisive in the pocket. He also had insanely little help around him. Skylar Thompson, on the other hand, came in, looked really, really sharp. 5 for 5 on his first drive, ends with a touchdown pass to rookie tight end Hayden Rucci. Later had another touchdown pass to Kyrique McGowan. Ended the game with under 100 passer rating. He was at 128 for a large part of the second half until a late interception where he forced a throw. And up until that point, you kind of had the feeling man, Skyler absolutely won the number 2 job tonight. And then that last interception kind of brings back the whole thing of who is more likely to make the big costly mistake, Mike White or Skylar Thompson. And I don't know that it's a slam dunk. Skylar Thompson outplayed Mike White in the preseason. I don't think there's any question about that. In terms of training camp practices, pretty close. Although I do think Skylar probably maybe a small edge. But again, there needs to be a comfort level and a confidence level that when it comes time to be in a game, if either one of them is called upon to replace Tua in a game-winning situation or not in mop-up duty, who's likely to make more plays, off schedule? It's Skylar Thompson. Who's more likely to make the costly mistake? It's also Skylar Thompson. So I don't know where this stands right now. Be perfectly honest. I don't know. I think it's a really, really tough call. Would not surprise me one bit if the Dolphins wound up keeping 3 quarterbacks on the 53, even with the new rule that says that the emergency third quarterback on a weekly basis does not have to be on the 53-man roster, unlike last year. So you could have a guy on the practice squad who could be your third quarterback every week. But again, if it's Skylar Thompson, for example, who would be that third guy, and the Dolphins wanted to try to stash him in the practice squad, he would have to go through Rivers first. Mike White's a vested veteran, meaning he's got 4 or more years of NFL experience. If the Dolphins let him go when they get down to the 53-man roster on Tuesday, he will be what's going to be terminated the contract of, becomes immediately a free agent, not subject to waiver, can sign with any team he wants. Again, I'd still be inclined to think right now, I think not necessarily totally confident about this, but let's say I think the Dolphins are going to wind up keeping all 3 quarterbacks. But not sure. The other major takeaway from this game, Malik Washington, man. And again, it's not with just the receiving because he only had 1 catch for 7 yards, but had a 40-yard gain on an end around where he showed you some massively impressive open field running, great vision. And then he had a 28-yard punt return. Again, you saw the same thing. And then a 45-yard kickoff return. And again, you saw the same thing. And it's that kind of open field running ability that at one point had me actually stating that he might put Braxton Berrios' roster spot in jeopardy, which is no longer the case. Why? Because the Dolphins are running out of bodies at wide receiver. So 2 developments on Friday night to further damage a position that's already been damaged. While Eric Ezukama, who sustained an injury in the joint practice on Wednesday, is spotted with a walking boot on the sideline before the game. Obviously would indicate some level of severity to his injury. Does that mean he has to start the season on IR? Who knows? And then during the game, Anthony Schwartz, who I'm going to guess probably wouldn't have made the team anyway, but still Dolphins are running out of bodies. He was injured catching I think it was a 17-yard pass from Skylar over the middle, went down, immediately grabbed his knee. Don't want to speculate, but again, somebody grabs his knee after basically before contact in the open field. Generally, that's not necessarily a good sign. So, and then this is on top of Tyreek Hill dealing with the thumb issue, Jalen Waddle dealing with whatever issue he's dealing with, Odell Beckham Jr. still being on PUP, River Craycraft dealing with what we believe is a shoulder injury from his touchdown catch against Washington last week. So Dolphins have quite a laundry list of injuries at the wide receiver position. Running game, not impressive in the first half in the least. The run blocking just flat out wasn't there, and it wasn't good from anybody. Notice Robert Jones getting badly beaten on a play that wound up 4-yard loss. Believe it was Jeff Wilson Jr. again who carried the ball. Jalen Wright had some success in the second half when they weren't holding penalties. He had 2 really good runs that were wiped out by penalties on a drive where the Dolphins had, and this is where it's the preseason, 4 penalties, holding on Hayden Rucci, holding on Jody Fortson Jr., a delay game on Skylar Thompson, and a false start by Patrick Paul. So not good. But the Dolphins did manage to score 2 touchdowns, both of them on Skylar Thompson passes, as I indicated. Jalen Wright, again, continued to look good. Should be noted he did his damage against Tampa Bay's backups, and not early on. It was Jeff Wilson Jr. who got the first snaps. And Jeff Wilson Jr. did not necessarily look great, but again, the blocking up front was not very good. Hayden Rucci had some good numbers at 5 catches, including the 1 touchdown pass. Beautiful throw by Skylar. He did have a ball that went right through his hands that came close to being intercepted, even though it hit the ground. Tampa Bay challenged. Why are you challenging in a preseason game? Well, I know why, but from a viewing standpoint, I think you guys all know it's going to be my 5-second rant. I don't like replay. And then he also had a holding penalty, which wasn't great. Jody Fortson had a drop on a low pass, but it was wide open near the sideline on a 3rd down. Got to make that catch, and he had the holding penalty. So, guy, at my first viewing of him in the offseason was like, man, this guy looks good. He looks the part, but don't see any path for him making the 53. Would be very surprised if that wound up happening. Defensively, what stuck out? Couple of things. Brandon Peely went down with a knee injury, with what appeared to be an injury, walked off very slowly. Again, the interior of the defensive line is another area where the Dolphins are running thin. They're already without Benito Jones, who was in civvies and hasn't practiced in a couple of weeks. They need those space eaters in the middle of the defensive line we mentioned earlier on yesterday's show when I was talking about the roster and the position-by-position breakdown. Peely's that kind of guy, Benito Jones that kind of guy. Well, now they're both hurt. The fact that Peely was seen on the sideline in the second half, that's encouraging, because if it was a major knee injury we were dealing with, chances are he wouldn't have been on the sideline. So that potentially is good news. The other thing that stood out defensively, Channing Tindall, I think, played the whole game. I mean, and what that says about him and his roster spot, I don't know. Generally speaking, somebody who's secure as far as his roster spot's concerned doesn't play the entire preseason finale. Now, I understand the Dolphins may have been low on numbers at the inside linebacker spot, but it's still a little bit unusual. Outside of that, we have to mention our 3 rookie cornerback free agents. Jason Maitre had great coverage on one play pass breakup in the 4th quarter. Isaiah Johnson had an intriguing 3-play sequence on Tampa Bay's final touchdown drive, made a good tackle on the running play, had good coverage on the pass breakup on 3rd down, on 4th down. Coverage wasn't terrible. He was picked, and he still was fairly close to the wide receiver, or was it the tight end, Tanner Crew. Good throw, good catch. It was a touchdown. Not necessarily would dig him. Storm Duck also was beaten for a touchdown reception. Also interesting to note that Nick Needham was on the field for most of the first half. Perhaps some sort of a statement on his roster spot. So, interesting there. Trying to think of anything else that really stood out in this game, and I'm not sure that anything did. So with that, let's go to the comments, shall we? And we will start with Dolphin number 1. Skylar Thompson is clearly number 2. My first half observation. Don't know. And then you come back with Mike White pocket awareness is poor to horrible, and now he's checked down Mike. Yeah, a little bit. Nick Tanner, Washington over Berrios. Yeah, perhaps. I like the kid. There's definitely something there. But right now they're going to need both of them because they're low on healthy bodies at wide receiver. TJ Brosnan, which undrafted rookies separated themselves from the rest today? Mark Perry, by the way, I should mention the safety from TCU had another good game. That kid can play. And we should also mention Pat McMorris, the rookie 6th-round pick from Cal safety, also spotted in a walking booth before the game. Screams he's going on IR. Not sure he would have made the roster anyway. And to me, it's very possible that the final roster spots in the secondary are going to come down to the 3 rookie free agent cornerbacks, Nick Needham, Mark Perry, and any combination of those. I think in my last projection, I had Perry and Storm Duck making the team. I will do another one that will appear on Miami Dolphins on SI over the weekend, and not sure if I'm going to go over there. Randy Barros has a guaranteed contract. He got some guaranteed money, and he's making the roster anyway. And both of them absolutely are going to make it. Rafael Courtright, Skylar late interception wasn't good. No, it wasn't. And that's the kind of, for lack of a better term, brain fart you don't want to have. Interesting. Third, Gibbs, give overall team depth a grade. You know what? I think the Dolphins' team depth is an issue. I see a team that is then, and this is even before the injuries. And we saw again the offensive line, which is a major problem. The offensive line that took the field today. Lee Meikenberg didn't start. Austin Jackson didn't start. Kendall Lamb didn't play. The unit that was out there, not good. There are some holes. Interior of the defensive line is not particularly deep. Wide receiver is not deep because of all the injuries. Don't know how deep they are at cornerback. Mind you, they have a lot of players. I don't know that they have a lot of high-end or front-end players. So I think their depth is a C+ at best. So I think that's kind of an issue. Let's see. Okay, you guys are having this whole debate of Braxton Berrios against Malik Washington. They're both going to make the team. What does Berrios do better than Malik Washington? Maybe he's more dependable. Again, this is a veteran who's done it for several years. Malik Washington, we're talking one preseason and generally against backup players. So there's a difference. But as I said, they're both making the 53. So I don't know that we need to pit one against the other. Adam says, in my opinion, Tyndall and Skylar won a spot on this team. Yeah, I don't know about that. Skylar, maybe. I'm not sure. Not sure about Tyndall. He made a lot of tackles. I mean, he was in on a lot of plays, but he played the whole game, and a lot of those tackles are 5-6 yards down the field. Yes, they're making tackles, but again, it's great to rack up tackle numbers, but you want to make them near the line of scrimmage. You have one or two good plays like that, but a lot of them were, further down. I think Mike White gets cut. What do you think? I don't know. I don't know. I think it's more realistic of a possibility than it was at any point in training camp, but I am not 100% sure. I'm going to be very honest. Samuel, what happened with Eric Ezukame? Was injured during the joint practice against Washington. I didn't see what happened, but it was a clear foot injury. Who was your offensive defensive players of the game? I missed the whole thing. Offensive player of the game. So he can't be Malik Washington because he did a lot of his good work on special teams. The only thing he did offensively really was the end around. There's nobody who had a game without a blemish because Skylar Thompson had the one pick. Hayden Rucci had a drop and a penalty, even though he put up really good numbers. Special teams player of the game is clearly Malik Washington. The defensive player of the game, it's not Channing Tyndall. Despite all the tackles, I'm trying to think who really stood out, and nobody really stood out. Mark Perry maybe, and then your offensive player of the game. Maybe Jalen Wright had a lot of good moments. I think would be somebody who stands out. Adam says Jeff Wilson didn't look very good. No, he didn't look very good. But interestingly enough, fullback Alec Ingold, who did, among the many players who didn't play, pointed out on the local Dolphin broadcast that Wilson broke his nose a couple of weeks ago and had to undergo surgery. So, and this was his first game action. Just pointing that out. Excellent point right there, Surya. What do we really expect from backup QBs, though? I'm not sure if there's a team with an ideal backup situation. That's a very good point. Maybe the closest to it, Atlanta, maybe, because their backup's a first-round pick. So they have Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr. That's decent. And then their third quarterback's Taylor Heineke, who does have some starting experience. So they have some depth at quarterback. But you look around the league, there are a lot of teams who do not have very good backup quarterback situations. The Jets have a good backup quarterback in Tyrod Taylor. He's very good. Cleveland has decent backup quarterbacks as well, although it escapes me. Joe Flacco is a very good backup now in Indy. So there are a couple, but around the league, not a ton of great backup situations at all. Carl, who's more likely to make a play, White or Skyler? Well, based on what we saw this summer, it's Skyler. But again, the flip side of that is who's more likely to make the key mistake, and that's part of the equation as well. Yeah, that's right. No, my IBS couldn't handle another preseason game. So glad it's over. You and I both, partner. Obviously, I watched those games intently and like very seriously because it's the job. But as far as entertainment value, no, it's just not there. But now the fun starts, because now we're getting to the irregular season. Holt, good news is the Finns can probably stash tons of their good players on the practice squad due to injuries. For somebody to wind up on the practice squad, you have to get waived. You have to clear waivers first, or you have to be a veteran who doesn't sign with another team. If you're vested, meaning 4 years or more, where you're going to see in the transactions on Tuesday, it's not going to say wait, it's going to say, contract terminated. And if you're a good player, even if you're injured right now, not going to be just as simple as, okay, we'll just put them on the practice squad. It doesn't work like that. Interesting. Josh, go get Hunter Renfrow and Julio Jones. How many slot receivers do the Dolphins need? Holy moly. And Julio, that would apply for Hunter Renfrow. Julio Jones, yeah, and didn't show like he had a whole lot left last year. Jason, I am much more concerned about Miami's run defense and inability to run the ball on third and short. Skyler should be QB2, and Miami should save the $3.5 million by cutting White. Here's what I would say about that. Dolphins absolutely, positively, in no way, shape, or form should make that decision based on saving $3.5 million. They have ample cap space as it is. If they decide that Mike White clearly is number 3 and don't see a need to carry 3, that's one thing. Don't make the move just because you want to save $3.5 million. Yeah, run defense, absolutely a concern. Run offense, short yardage run offense remains a concern. That hasn't changed. Yep. You build a team in the trenches. Greer and company still don't get that the O-line is critical. That's not the model of the team. The team is built on perimeter speed. Nuclear Nick, are we winning the Super Bowl? No. Let's when we start the regular season first. I think we're kind of premature with that. Big D, no push from this O-line at all. This would be an issue for Finns all year. Shake my head. Except tonight, you played again with a lot of the backups, except that right now you have your projected starting center is out with a hand injury. Your projected starting left guard is on PUP, and your projected starting left tackle has barely practiced all summer. Not completely ideal, but again, we're still 2 weeks before the start of the regular season. What do we got? Holt, is it me or do the Dolphins have the most injuries of any team? Shake my head. They certainly have had their share, absolutely. I think if Skylar played the whole game instead of White playing the first half, we might have won. Dude just panics every play. It's a preseason game. Who cares? It's the idea about player. It's about player evaluation. Which bubble player made the 53 and which got himself cut by his performance tonight? You can certainly make a case for Mike White having cut himself with this performance. It wasn't great. As far as others, I'm trying to see. I don't know that there were a lot of roster swing performances on this particular evening. I really don't. I will give you one that really, and I think we had talked about this on the podcast Thursday, that Jack Driscoll may be somebody who should deserve consideration for a starting job. He did not look good at all in this game against Tampa Bay. I mean, at all. So to me, any momentum there might have been toward, we should give this guy a longer look. Yeah, no. Did not happen. Let's see what we got here. Hey, Mark. Thanks for the contribution. Appreciate all the questions you sent to the mailbags over on Twitter. The mailbags, which will appear on Miami Dolphins on SI over the weekend. Part 1 ran today. Going to have another one tomorrow and one Sunday. And just submit your questions. I usually on Thursday night and a couple of times on Friday, I will put out a call for questions. Hope you follow me at Poupart NFL, Poupart NFL. In fact, you'll see the right there. Nope, I don't have my Twitter handle. It's my last name, NFL. And we'll do that. And Mark, somebody who contributes questions on a regular basis. And on this one here, will OBJ start the regular season? Dude, I don't know. That thing is such a mystery. And the thing with him is, like, again, we have not been told what body part. The Dolphins play close to the vest for a lot of their injuries. They provide some information for others. But as far as OBJ, and again, this is a guy who signed May 3rd, I believe it was, didn't practice in the offseason program, been on PUP the entire training camp. And you kind of got the feeling like maybe in the offseason it was like, he was managing something, never any indication that it was anything serious. But now, we're talking another month of training camp. What's going on here? So I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'm sure when Mike McDaniel speaks on Mondays, be the start of a new week, and will be the question, is this the week where he starts practicing? But it's a great mystery, and I'd be lying to you if I said I really had a major inkling as to whether he will start the regular season. Randy Rogers. Hey, Randy, thank you very much. Which O-line players stood out to you? Nobody. Jack Driscoll stood out in a negative way. Robert Jones had the one play where he just got blown up. Lester Cotton didn't. The plays I had my eyes on him, not impressed. Ryan Hayes, and then he got hurt on top of that. Baron Matos gave up the really bad sack. Driscoll, by the way, moved from center to right tackle for the latter part of the game. Patrick Paul looked better than he did against Washington. Maybe not quite as good as he did against Atlanta, but much better than he looked against Washington. The backup offensive lineman, the rookie free agents, no, didn't see a whole lot there. So, no, you certainly couldn't come out of this preseason game with a whole lot of confidence about what happened with the offensive line. Layla, would you trade for another wide receiver? Injuries are a concern there. Injuries are a massive concern there, no question. Again, who's available? What can you get? No, you're not trading for Brendan Ayuk. You have too much invested already at the position. So who can you get? Hunter Renfrow is a good name out there. But again, the Dolphins probably need somebody on the outside. But it wouldn't hurt to bring in somebody. Like this question, Rafael, does UDFA 78 Payne make the practice squad? Oh, I think absolutely. I think there's something there. I don't think he's ready to be quite yet an NFL player. This is Leonard Payne from the rookie free agent from Louisville. He doesn't make the 53. He will get waived. My guess he's going to clear waivers. And yes, I believe the Dolphins will re-sign him to the practice squad. Absolutely. Remember, the Dolphins have 16 spots. No, actually have 17 spots on the practice squad. The limit is 16, but Matos will not count because he's part of the International Pathway Player Program, being the Dominican. Nick, think they make any trades? I do think they could make trades. Absolutely. I think, in fact, it's probably more than 50-50, either to acquire some depth interior of the defensive line. A lot more so. I think if they had the opportunity, maybe the interior of the offensive line, perhaps. At this time, maybe a wide receiver. But wide receiver usually, I'm sure, I haven't looked yet, but I'll do some fishing, and I'm sure there's some guys available out there who could help without having to surrender anything in return. I do think that they would shop Jeff Wilson Jr. around, see if they can get something from him, because I don't know how many halfbacks you need to carry. And if they carry Jeff Wilson Jr. as a fourth halfback, sure, injuries can happen, but why not make phone calls, see if you can get something from him? Whoa, overreaction, Vince. Dolphins are not a playoff team. Why? Because they lost a game against Tampa Bay in the preseason when they didn't play any of their starters? Dude. Tony Mondo. Tony. Hi, Tony. I'm concerned by interior line issues. I think the Jag game is going to be close, and people say, what do you think? I am concerned about the interior of the offensive line as well, without question. The Jacksonville game could be problematic. Here's the thing, though. Week 1 of the NFL is always the toughest to predict because it's a new year, because teams haven't shown anything in the preseason. We don't know. Jacksonville's a team that was expected to do a lot of big things last year, and then Trevor Lawrence sprains his ankle, high ankle sprain late in the year, and it just went south really quickly on them. So, don't know. I mean, I kind of get the feeling Jacksonville's going to be a good team. How good, don't know. I would take some comfort if I'm a Dolphin fan in the fact that when they're at home in September in the daytime, it's a massive advantage, and they tend to do very well. But I don't think the game's a gimme at all. I haven't seen what the point spread might be. I would imagine. I don't know. But I would feel confident Dolphins are going to win. Could it be a problematic game? Absolutely. Mike Whiteface is Buck starter, but at least he got in with the Fins 2s instead of the last 2 preseason games. Yeah, correct. He played with 2s against 1s. But he didn't look great. Skylar Thompson played with 2s for a bit, then played with 3s going up against 2s and 3s. How much does that factor into it? Probably to a certain degree, but the fact still remains that regardless of competition, Skylar Thompson absolutely positively looked better than Mike White. That cannot be debated. Next, thanks for the content. Thank you very much. Loved learning that Mostert is mentoring right, has a bright future in this league. He does, absolutely. And by the way, yeah, I was about to say this thing about mentoring. I think it's more the rule than the exception. I think it was well chronicled that when Malik Willis joined the Titans as a quarterback, they asked Ryan Tannehill about whether he's going to mentor him, and he basically said, that's not my job. I believe that's how I recall the story, but I don't know that I'd make necessarily that it's not necessarily that huge of a deal, honestly. It happens all the time. Teron Armstead's mentoring Patrick Paul. Jalen Phillips is mentoring Chop Robinson. And you look all around the NFL, you're going to see stories like that. No, thank you very much. How do we expect to run in short yardage situations when the line isn't built for it? A great question. And maybe, just maybe, it's why the Dolphins pass more on 3rd and 1 than I believe any other team in the NFL based on stats from the last 2 years. So, yeah, there's a reason for it. Adam McDaniel needs to stand. Thank you very much, Adam. McDaniel needs to spread the ball around this year. Play calling may be holding this team back in close games. He needs to improve. Has he won a replay? Yeah, it was a bad replay too. If you see the first replay from the side, it's Jalen McMillan, the rookie from Washington. You see his elbow clearly land inbounds, and the second that elbow hits the ground, that's 2 feet. So I hated the call personally just because it's preseason while you're challenging. But on top of that, yeah, no, their Dolphins are not very good at challenges. And I don't know. It's kind of just a fluky thing. As far as his play calling, I don't know. Again, Dolphins were 11-6 last year. And I mean, are we really thinking is the play calling more instrumental in getting them to 11-6 or more detrimental in the losses that kept them from going further in the playoffs? So I tend to give Mike McDaniel a lot of leeway there, and because overall done very good work. Sean Parnape, Sean, thank you so much. Sean, appreciate it. Working hard late, Poop. Keep up the great work. Very good seeing you last week at camp. Have a great year. Thank you, Sean. Much appreciated. It was absolutely great meeting you, or seeing you, I should say. I hope it's a great year. The possibilities are there. There are areas of concern, but guess what? 32 teams in the NFL. I don't think there's a team out there that doesn't have an area of concern. And you start with the team the Dolphins have been trying to overtake in the AFC East, the Buffalo Bills. They have their areas of concern, starting with a new starting center with some concerns about whether, I believe it's Connor McGovern, can be an adequate replacement for Mitch Morse, who's a guy who'd been a rock for them for a few years. They lost Matt Milano. Their wide receiver course completely different. So they have their issues. The Jets, can all of their old guys who have been injured quite a bit stay healthy? I'm trying to think of major concerns for Kansas City, and unfortunately, I can't come up with anything. And this is where my Chiefs fatigue syndrome is kicking in, because personally, from a fan standpoint, a fan of the NFL, I'd love it if somebody else actually was involved in the AFC Championship game. It's been now 6 years in a row. Chiefs have been the AFC Championship game. I don't know. Kind of tired of it personally, but that's just me. But it's tough to find one major concern with that team, to be honest. I mean, they're pretty stacked all over the place. Okay, let's get back. Ryan, is Mike White's salary a factor in the decision? If he makes the roster, not in the least. In fact, from a purely financial standpoint, it helps the Dolphins if they cut him. Without looking it up right now, if my numbers are right, he's making $5 million. If the Dolphins cut him, they say 3.5 against the cap. So no, he will not make the roster because of his salary. In fact, if anything, he could get cut because of his salary. The other way around. Josh, KC has Wentz. Jacksonville looks good with Mac Jones. So now Mac Jones is a good quarterback. We're talking about backup situations. I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. I will give you one example. If you want to look at it this way, New England has a good backup situation when Drake May takes over as a starter, because Jacoby Brissett, whatever Dolphin fans want to say about him, is a solid backup. Okay. And I know his record was 2-3 when he started for the Dolphins. And if memory serves, the losses were against playoff opponents or good teams. So again, he's not a great quarterback, but as a backup to me, I think he's solid. That's a very good question. Vince Gainsborough, is Quentin Bell a cut? That's a great question. You want to talk about a guy who's kind of like disappeared the last couple of weeks after a fabulous start to training camp. Did some good things in the preseason game. No, actually, he didn't. I take that back. In any of the preseason games, in practice, he really shined in the preseason games. Even started with the joint practices with Atlanta, where wasn't very noticeable. I'm still inclined to believe he makes the team as the fifth edge defender and a core special teams player. But if he were to get cut, it wouldn't shock me. Tony, Barrios hasn't impressed us preseason. Barrios has barely played. He dealt with some injury, came back this week, didn't play tonight. I'm trying to remember. I think he might have played against Washington. I don't know if he was targeted, but he was hurt. So it's not fair to say he didn't impress. No, he couldn't impress because he was hurt. Todd Price, why on earth is Mike relinquishing head coaching duties that are in the second half? Oh, wait, there was another Dolphin head coach who did the same thing during the preseason, during his first year of coaching. Glad you brought that up, Todd, because I wrote about this actually again on Miami Dolphins on SI, which I certainly hope you guys check out on a regular basis. Bookmark it, MiamiDolphinsOnSI.com, or the URL you see under my name right there. The reason Mike McDaniel did this is, as you folks may or may not be aware, COVID's still around. And who's to say that it doesn't happen at some point during the season where something happens and Mike McDaniel can't coach a game. He wanted to give John Embry the chance to experience the mechanics of being the head coach for a half, understanding that John Embry has never been a head coach at the NFL level. He was assistant head coach for the 5 years that he and Mike McDaniel were together in San Francisco. He was a head coach at the University of Colorado. He's the assistant head coach right now, but he's never been a head coach. So it's, again, in the event something happens, this is to give him a taste of it. What you're referencing, as I indicated in the story on Miami Dolphins on SI, was 2007 and Cam Cameron, who did that for the entire game, not just the second half. And he relegated the duties to Dom Capers and Mike Mularkey. And the two big differences there was, number one, there was no COVID at the time. Number two, Cam Cameron was a first-year head coach. Mike McDaniel's in his third year. And number three, and most important, not like Dom Capers and Mike Mularkey needed the experience because both of them previously had been head coaches. So, and then furthermore, does it really matter that Mike McDaniel didn't coach the second half today? It was weird when Cam Cameron did it in 2007 for the reason I just mentioned. Today, it's like, no, personally, zero issue with it. And I would hope, and you guys would know by now, that if I had an issue with it, I wouldn't be afraid or wouldn't be shy about saying it. So, and speaking of, as I'm addressing all of you, I most definitely appreciate every one of you for joining me here. Much appreciated. I thank you. Hope you like, subscribe. Not quite done. We're going to keep going for a little bit here. And then we'll see what we got. Global Travel just left the game. Mike White's game is absolute booty cheeks. Omar, is that you? Didn't play great. He didn't play great. Holt, Tyndall. Yeah, again, played a lot, made a lot of tackles. Did he really make a big impact? I had him on my 53 on the last roster projection. I did. The fact that he played the entire game has me weird. Fins Canes, I like Tyndall over Bell. Well, it's not an apple. It's apples and oranges because Bell's an edge defender and Tyndall plays an off-the-ball linebacker, so not quite. And Holt comes back with, it's too bad that Quentin Bell's been dropping off the radar. Yep. Yep. Let's see. Here we go. Dolphantina, Tina, do you think some of these injured players will be good to go for week one? Absolutely. Teron Armstead will be good to go. This is barring a major surprise. Teron Armstead will be good to go. Tyreek Hill will be good to go. Jalen Waddle will be good to go. Javon Holland should be good to go. Jalen Ramsey should be good to go. The ones where I'm not sure, very iffy. Aaron Brewer's iffy. Trying to River Craycraft probably not going to be ready. Izukama now is probably not going to be ready. But as far as your main players injured, yeah, most of those guys, the main guys, Hill, Waddle, Armstead, Ramsey, Holland, I'm very confident they'll be in the lineup against Jacksonville. Alexander, you're funny. Oh, Josh, what happened with you and Big O? I missed that combo. What happened with Big O and I? Couple of disagreements, actually, I guess would be one way of putting it. Falling out, one way of putting it. So, wish Big O the best with his show. He's doing his thing. I'm doing my thing. That's all. Nestor, do you think X will get a job before the season starts, or will he be an injury replacement during the season? That's a good question. Also, do not forget, very important fact when it comes to X and other established veterans, if they're on a roster in week 1, that team that has them on their roster guarantees their salary for the entire season, which is why chances are you're going to see some players, some high-profile players, including X, sign the Monday or the Tuesday after the start of the regular season, so September 9th or September 10th. That will happen. So do I think he'll get a job before the season starts? I'd be inclined to think it's going to be right after the start of the season. So listen to what Robert is saying here. Thanks for pointing out, Robert. Like the man, please. Like me, please. Like me. I want you to be able to say that you like me. You really like me. Sorry. Sally Field reference. Let's see what we got here. Birthday salami, post-game poop. Hard to tell with preseason, but what's your feel about Weaver and his defense? Thank you for the contribution. Yeah, but you said it perfectly. It's hard to tell because, again, what we've seen from the Dolphins, which has featured a lot of blitzing, a lot more than we saw from Vic Fangio last year, again, is still nothing compared to what we're going to see in the regular season. Because teams do not want to reveal too much. That's just a fact of life. I am very, very intrigued by what we're going to see. I would expect even more blitzing. I would expect disguises where, if you remember previous Dolphin defenses where they would sometimes bring 7 guys to the line of scrimmage and all of a sudden the ball is snapped and 4 of them drop back into coverage. That's the kind of stuff I would expect. I do like the look of what the defense could be, though. I will say that. There we go. Global travel. The starters aren't out there. They are done. Can we say that about 3/4 of the team in the NFL? The teams in the NFL. So, Raphael, thank you for freaking outstanding show. It's my son's birthday, Dolphin game, and I got asked to be a guest speaker at high school for my Marine Corps career. Freaking outstanding day. Ha. Good. I like that. And thank you for the kind words, Raphael, and happy birthday to your son. Abel, I like the use of the tight end on some key plays. I forget his name. You're talking about Hayden Rucci, who, by the way, is the son of a former New England Patriots offensive lineman by the name of Todd Rucci. Was a starter for about 7 years, a second-round pick out of Penn State. And Dolphin fans, do not hold this against Hayden, that his father played for the Patriots. That would not be nice. It was pre-Belichick, by the way. And I did mention him, by the way, Abel. Jeff, does McDaniel have a guy in the booth advising him on challenges? Yes, he does. I think we asked him last year for specifics on who it might have been and what the mechanics were, and I think he kind of like danced around the question. Cap for life, Mike White and Braxton Berrios got to go. Whoever says different plays golf simulator way too much. Well, I'm here to tell you that my Braxton Barrows is not going anywhere, and I don't play Golf Simulator. Sounds cool though, but no. Only 31 teams. The Patsies won't count this year. LOL. I don't think Carolina's going anywhere either. No, Obi-Wan, do you know how many 2023 Week 1 starters played in Week 17? Oh, that's an interesting question. I could look it up, but that would make for some boring podcasting. So let me take it under advisement, see if I can remember it, and maybe address it at some other point, and we'll go Week 1 to 17. See, I'm writing it down. Okay, let's continue looking at some of these comments. Oh, that's right. That's right. Chiefs added a rugby star and punt got to boot. Yep. And Xavier Worthy, absolutely. Any update on Brandon Pili? I don't know anything yet. My guess is going to be one of those. We'll know more. We'll know more after tomorrow or Monday. Okay, what do we got? No. The thought of another Taylor Swift playoff season makes me ill. What do you have against Taylor Swift? Dude, they're in love. I think it's cool, actually, personally, but okay. Jason McDonald, I still believe if anything major happens to Tua, the first call Miami makes is to Tom Brady. Yeah, except Tom Brady makes, what's he making? $30 million to call games for Fox. That's going to be awfully tough to leave, even if temporarily, although the dude is a massive, massive competitor, and maybe it would be too much of a temptation for him to resist coming back. Third, Gibbs should have grabbed Joe Flacco. I don't know that Joe Flacco is a guy who makes very quick decisions either, though. Oh, that's funny. Nasser, did you detect a noticeable difference between the coaching in the first and second half? If not, is Mike McDaniel a possible cap casualty? That's funny. No, I didn't notice the difference. That is funny. Dolphins might want to consider signing players that have zero injury history. Just saying. Find me those guys. Holt. Find me those guys. I'm going to bring this up here. Okay. Oh, Cam Cameron was prophetic. I'll give him that. He failed forward fast. Here's the thing. He got crucified for making that statement, and I was there when he made it at practice, and all the media people were looking at each other like, what the hell? And then, but when you think about it, this was said in training camp, and his whole point was that improvement comes from correcting mistakes. Okay, and that's going to happen. If you fail, make a mistake, you want to do it while you're progressing, and you don't want it to linger during the season. So if you break it down like that, saying he wants his team to fail forward fast, while it sounds a little dicey, may not be as bad as it first sounds. Or maybe I'm crazy and it's totally lame. I don't know. I don't know. Worst Dolphins head coach ever. Kind of tough to disagree with that. David Dalrymple is Roseman, hands down best GM in the league. He's up there. Brett Veach in Kansas City is pretty damn good. Eric DaCosta in Baltimore, while advised by Ozzie Newsome, also pretty damn good. Poop playing the jerk. Adam, you want to explain that one to me? Let's see. I'm going to keep going here. We're going close to an hour. I'm going to keep looking for, and I think, no, Obi-Wan, are you serious? Taylor Swift or Genesis? Come on, man. Are you serious? Really? You're asking me this? You're really asking me this? Come on. If you guys, I'm assuming if you guys are here, you're followers of the podcast. And if you're followers of the podcast, you know I'm a very big Genesis guy. So, yes, Genesis. By the way, Adam, if you're still out there, you want to explain to me why I'm me being a jerk? I don't get it. And I think, thank you, Holt. Seriously, Genesis by a landslide. Thank you. I think that's going to wrap it up. Again, Dolphins lose 24-14. Inconsequential. They finished it the preseason 2-1. Also inconsequential. The thing that's disappointing for the third game, they lost players to injuries that could be significant. We'll know more in the next couple of days. Today was Anthony Schwartz and Brandon Peely. Before that, it was Keon Smith, Cam Brown, Grayson Murphy. And on top of that, in a joint practice, they lost Pat McMorris and Eric Azukama. We don't know for how long. And I will go ahead and I'll go ahead and quickly answer this one question. Tripwire 55. Do you know if Chris Brooks injured himself as well as having the concussion? Also a chance of him making the team. Yeah, no, Chris Brooks got concussed against Washington not long after he had that long run. Chances of him making the team. He contributes on special teams. That's going to help him. Dolphins have a lot of depth at running back, and obviously Mostert, Achane, and Wright are going to make the team. How many halfbacks are they going to keep? I'd say it's 50-50. So, and with that, there you go. Oh, got it. Okay, Annenberg, Mr. Poop. Never mind Poop if you don't get it. Haha, Steve Martin, they like me, they really like me. No, that wasn't the reference I did. I'm the one who made the reference, Adam. You're referencing The Jerk, right? Great movie. I'm assuming that's the one you're referencing. I was referencing Sally Field in I believe it was an Oscar speech where she said, "You like me. You really like me." Okay, that's what I said. Matthew, was it hockey season yet? Go Panthers. Hockey season starts in October, a month after the NFL regular season starts, which is what I'm psyched about right now. We're talking like less than 2 weeks now, September 5th. And by the way, I do a countdown on the website, Miami Dolphins on SI, every day with the 3 greatest players who have worn the jersey number corresponding to the number of days left before the start of the NFL regular season, not the Dolphin regular season, because to me, this is a race. We're looking at the big picture for the Dolphins. It's not just their season; it's everybody else in the AFC. If, as we hope, the Dolphins are in contention for the number 1 seed in the AFC, and it starts with Baltimore, Kansas City in that NFL kickoff game. So, Phil, I love that. Thank you. Appreciate it. Jason, I lied. I guess I can't. I don't know how to quit you guys. Another movie reference. Jason McDonald, I hate to see 52 sit all season due to his physical and large. Find somewhere to start him. Patrick Paul is a pure left tackle. That's where he's going to play, and he may be large and in charge and physical, but he's also raw. And there are times when the technique is not there, and opposing pass rushers will take advantage of him. And in fact, one of the 4th down failed conversions happened because he was pushed back into the backfield where the defender actually hit Mike White's arm to cause the incompletion. So there you go, Sally Field. Okay, that is absolutely going to wrap it up now. Again, much appreciate everybody who joined me on this live post-game recap. Please like, subscribe, share, whatever you do with these podcasts. Not quite sure what's going to happen the rest of the weekend. There will be a show this weekend, perhaps tomorrow, perhaps Sunday. You'll get a notification if you do subscribe, which I hope you do. Appreciate everybody who commented. But first and foremost, appreciate anybody just for being here and joining me on this evening. With that, I will say good night. And again, thank you very much.